Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
So this is what $1,500 US buys you as far as DRZs go. It's a 20-year-old bike. I think it's circa 03 or 02 and its manufacturing date. We might get to that when we have a close look at it. It's a bit tired in places. You can kind of see here that we've got some leakage from that oil seal and the fork. That's probably contaminated the brake pads. On the other side, swing around here, looks like we've got a really nice aftermarket spacer instead of the speedo drive. Looks like the boots have been replaced on the forks at some point. I would imagine that's due to the oil degradation of the other side. Also, the boots are actually supposed to sit down on top of these plastic riders here, but that hasn't sort of happened. Got a bit of banana happening just in that radiator there, which is not leaking, but it's not ideal as far as this goes. The guard that we're looking at here looks to be homemade. I don't think that it has any branding on it, so I can't really see any brands anywhere. Still got the mini bash plate on the bottom of it. And as far as protection on the clutch case goes, we've got another, looks to be homemade device, which has served the purpose well. I would say this is in reasonable condition. This bike has been run with an aftermarket exhaust. This aftermarket exhaust here. This wasn't to the taste of the previous owner, who changed it out. What have we got here? Pro Circuit T4, so I might get that cleaned up and get that back on the bike at some point. There are a few other things that this bike needs. I'm not sure, there's a fair amount of oil just sitting down here in the frame around the sprocket. I'm a little undecided as to whether that's a countershaft seal may need replaced, but we'll look into that before we take it anywhere serious. This is of course fitted with the nice FCR slant as per standard on this type of E model. There's a few wear pieces, obviously looking at 20 years worth of wear on the gear shifter. Looks like it's had chain and sprockets at some point. Haven't really checked any of that out particularly. It's had handlebars at some point too. Certainly know that the stock versions of the handlebars fitted to these are steel and tend to be reasonably easy in an accident. It's had some shorty levers fitted, or a unbreakable lever on this side actually, and a standard lever for the brake, and this is your typical DRZ setup for brakes. So we might look at changing this front end out. I've got another front end that we can probably put on here instead of that, slightly bigger front brake, some braided brake lines for the front at least. Other than that, I think we're going to be leaving it standard. We might do that radiator as well. Definitely get some guards on it. It needs a proper bash plate, although that particular water pump guard is probably better than a bash plate that I would use. And we might just give it a tidy up. The goal in the first instance is to probably use the bike this summer, probably as a river bike, so no registration or warrant of fitness required. Sorry about that, it's the dog. And yeah, we'll give it a once over before we before we go riding it. We've been a little bit modified up here. It no longer has a key switch as these would have had standard, nor does it have the standard odometer. As I pointed out, the speedo drive has been replaced, so the odometer would no longer work if it had been fitted. It's normally a standard odometer for distance only. This has been fitted up with a switch, as you can see here, which is not in the best of conditions. We've obviously got some nice rental bars. We might just retain all that. I'm quite a fan of guards, so probably will invest in some guards before we go too much further with this. Yeah, we'll see how we go. One thing we did note yesterday when we picked it up, it's got a little bit of movement in that bottom swing arm linkage. See if I can't give that a shift so you can have a look. You can see that probably means the bearing needs to be sorted in that linkage. It's not a big job, but requires the equipment to do it. I think everything runs fairly true on this. Should give that front wheel, looks alright. Doesn't look too boogered up. I'm pretty sure the rear wheel looks okay too. I gave that a bit of a look at yesterday. I'll just lift that up. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's got any lumps or bends in it. Okay. So here's my first fix. See here that we have a nut on the inside of this plastic. That tab is supposed to be threaded and the bolt is supposed to thread into the tab. We have a bolt and a nut. I feel the fix coming on. Standard thread repair kit. Some cutting oil here. I'm just going to use a bit of cutting oil on the tip of the drill. Just makes a nicer job. So the idea is to pull this out. Certainly wasn't much to bore out. Then we have the right size tap, and we're going to do a bit of spray of lube on that as well. This is my super low powered drill. Something to clean that with. As I don't have any brake clean, I'll be using alcohol today. Now the idea would be to try and get as much of the oil out of the hole as possible. Because I think we might put a daub of Loctite on the springs that we're going to use. Okay, I think that'll do for being clean enough. Just have a bit of 272 Loctite, which is high strength Loctite. Just going to put the merest smear out of that. This is really just to fix it. Cold in the garage, so the oil Loctite doesn't want to come out. Alright, there we go. Merest smear. I'm going to use a straight tool. for that to set up, and then I'm going to snap the back of it off. And the point of taking the plastics and seat off is to get a battery charger minder long-term charger on that battery so that it doesn't go flat. I lucked in, the previous owner had purchased a new battery only 4 months ago.